Guys, welcome back to the channel. All right. Now, in the last video, we mentioned the fact that, the image was built, all right, but then we saw that it was overriding, all right, the previous images, okay? So we just have just one tag, right? And we want to see how we can correct this such that anytime we push into the container registry, the image tag is not overwritten, but basically a new image tag is generated, and then we can see, all right, the history of the Docker images that we have built, all right, over time. I mean, we may want to revert back to any of those image tags, right? We should be able to use them anytime that we want to use any of those, all right, image tags. So instead of overriding or overwriting the image, we basically just want to make sure that the image tag basically just goes in the increment, right? Which means if you have 1.0 now, right, the next time we build, we should have maybe something like 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, all right, and things like that. So that is basically what I want to try to do, all right, in this video. All right, so let's get into how to do that. Now, if you look at what we have here, this is basically the code that we've been working with, the pipeline code that we've been working with, all right? And here we have the build image, we have the push image already. Of course, we don't have the deploy phase yet, but of course, we're going to get there, pretty soon. Okay, now how do we ensure that as we build our images, right, we keep, a record of the tags, right? Basically, it shouldn't override the tag. It should basically just increment, all right, basically. So how do we do that? Now, one way to do that is basically to, do something around here. So for example, I can come here under the before script. So here in the build image job, I can come here and create a before script. All right, so let's create a before script. And here, this before script is basically going to do, all right, something for us. Okay, so let's say that we want to create, all right, an app version, right? So we can create an app version like this, all right, and then we can put some shell commands right there. Now, another way, another easy way is basically to come here, all right, and define a variable. So basically I can come here and just define, all right, a variable, all right, I can call it image underscore tag, all right, and then I can give it maybe 1.1 or something, right? That's the easy way out. But what we want to achieve is basically we want to increment, all right, our build, all right, we want to increment our image tag. Basically, we're going to be using a variable that is called, all right, the CI pipeline ID, which means anytime we build our image, the pipeline ID should be appended, all right, to every image that we build. So if the pipeline ID is 1, for example, then the image ID should be maybe 1.1 or something. If the pipeline ID is 2, then the image ID should be what? 1.2. So that's what we want to do. So we're not going to use this method, basically, because, I mean, this is still more like add coding, all right, the variable, all right there. So what we want is something dynamic, okay? Now, how do we do that? We can actually do that, all right, by using this command here. And then I'm going to do this. Now, if you're familiar with Linux, you will know that what I'm doing right now is what is called command substitution, all right, in Linux, command substitution. So here, I'm going to say cat, and then I'm going to go into my app folder, all right, and then I'm going to go into the package, all right, .json. Okay, watch this, and then I'm going to do, all right, a pipe, and then I'm going to use this, JQ, which is basically a JavaScript something, all right, and then I'm going to use that, all right, command to read, all right, the version line, okay, where it states version, all right, inside of this package.json. So if you go to the package.json, you have this, all right, key value pair where it talks about version. So the version here is 1.0. Right? And so that is what I want to use. So I want to use the version, all right, of my application to build, all right, my Docker image. Okay, so my Docker image will take, all right, the version of the application. So anytime the developers, or when they work on this application and then they increase it to maybe 2.0 or something, and then I build my image, it's going to basically give me, all right, 2.0 as my Docker image, all right, as well. But that is not the only thing that I want to do. I also want to attach to, all right, this build number or the build image, basically, that I'll be building. I want to attach to that also the pipeline ID. So basically, this is just one thing, all right, that I want to do here. So here, I'm going to use this command. So export. So basically, I'm exporting out these particular, all right, command here, I'm putting that into like, the shell, okay, which means my job can actually read, all right, that, the environment variable and then use that, all right, to build my job basically, okay. So here I'm saying cat app slash, all right, package JSON. So basically I'm telling, all right, basically I'm using JQ to basically read the package JSON file and then look for me any line that states version, right? So if you can find version anywhere inside of that file, then export that, all right, to this particular variable. So this variable is going to be available, all right, within the environment where the build job is taking place, and then it can actually be used. Now, if I do that and I come here, all right, and I will say again, export, right? So I'm going to basically say export version, all right, equals, and then I'll put that here and say app, all right, underscore version. Okay, and then I will now say, all right, dot dollar CI. So I'm going to use this pipeline variable here. All right, so the pipeline variable basically is the pipeline ID. All right, so I'm going to use this one. All right, IID. So that's the one we want to use. Okay, so basically what we're doing is that the first line is going to create, all right, an environment variable that will assume, all right, whatever it is that is generated by this. So basically, when you see something that starts with a dollar sign like this, all right, in a Linux environment or in any environment like this one, it basically means I am doing command substitution, right? So whatever it is that this, all right, will generate, I'm substituting that into this app version. Okay, so anything that this produces will be substituted into, all right, the app version. Okay, now here I am also creating another environment variable called version that will take on this value dot, all right, the pipeline ID, all right, for me. Okay, so this version now becomes, all right, a combination of these two. So if my app version, for example, is 1.0, then dot the pipeline ID. So if my pipeline ID is maybe pipeline 3 or pipeline 4, that means I'm going to have something like 1.0.4. Is that okay? That's exactly what we are going to have. All right, so let's go ahead and let us see how this will work. Now, here, I will have to remove this 1.0 because now I am using a dynamic variable. Okay, I'm using a variable basically, all right, which is dynamic. So I don't need to add code my version number right here. So I can just come in and say, you know what? Just take on, all right, the version, all right, from this place. So this version variable is what I'm putting right here. All right, now let's push this and let's see if this is going to work. All right, so let's push and let's learn, all right, from this. So I'm going to come here, all right, I'm going to do git commit, okay, -m or am basically, and then I'm going to basically version, all right, ID changed. Okay, now I'm going to do git push. Let's see if this would push. All right. So could not read from the repository. Okay, that's fine. So how do we do this? I'm basically just going to open up my sticky note here. All right, it has to do with something around SH agent. So I think I really need to do something about this, but then we're learning together. All right, so that's the beauty of learning. So let me quickly just fix this. So it needs my, all right, so this is my key, all right, that I'm using for my GitLab. So I'm going to put that into the SH agent, and now I should be able to push, all right, without any kind of error. Okay, so there you go. It has been pushed already, and then now I can go back to my build phase and then click on pipeline, and then my pipeline should be triggered, all right, right now. So let's see that. So it's pending already. Okay, now look at this. Look at what it says here. It says stock. The pipeline is what? The pipeline is stock. Now, what does this mean to you, right? What can you make of this? I mean, the pipeline is stuck. Why is the pipeline stuck? Now, remember, if I go back here to my job, I am actually using what? My own runner. Okay, to execute this job, I'm not using, all right, the GitLab shared runner. And so basically, before you run your job, you must ensure that your GitLab runner is running actually, which means your instance is up and running. Okay, so for me, I've not started my instance, so that's why it says the job is, which means, I mean, I can't find the runner. So what do? There's nothing else to do, right? So I need to go back to my environment, and then I need to bring up, all right, my runner, basically. Okay, so I think my runner should be here. So let's check that together. All right, so I'm going to go here, And then that's my GitLab runner instance. I'm going to put it on, and is started automatically. Wow, that's interesting. You can see that. So the pipeline immediately started once it's sensed that the runner is up and running. Now that's the beauty, all right, of GitLab. So I didn't even have to cancel the pipeline like I thought I was going to do. Okay, so immediately, all right, the runner came up, the job, all right, started automatically. I mean, what a synchronization you have between the runner, all right, and the GitLab instance. So let's watch what happens, all right, with the build image. If it is going to fail, if it's going to succeed, all right, let's watch what happens. Now, don't forget, we are actually using a Docker image, all right, to build, all right, our, the image that we're building, right? So let's see if this thing that we're trying to do here, it's going to work. Okay, let's just wait for the build image to do its thing, and let's see what happens with that. Still running. We can actually go in there and see, pretty much what is going on with it. All right, so it failed. Okay, so now it's the build image failed. Of course, the next one is going to skip, all right, as well, because I mean the push image is dependent, all right, on the build image. So once the build image fails, the push image basically would, all right, just be aborted automatically. Now look at what it says here. It says JQ not found. Okay, so this command was not found, and that is what actually caused the problem. Okay, because we're using the JQ command, all right, to read, okay, our package.json, and then we're looking for a line in the package.json that basically states, all right, version. So we're reading from the version key, all right, basically we're trying to get the value, all right, of the version key, all right, from the package.json, and then we're going to be using that, all right, to tag our image, basically, okay? But here it says the JQ command cannot be found. Now remember, we're running, all right, using a Docker image, right? We're using a Docker executor. That means this JQ command is not installed, all right, into the Docker image, right? So that's where the problem is. So the question is, how do we make the JQ available in the Docker, all right, executor? Right? So are we going to have to build our own custom image, or is there a way that we can actually go about it that allows, all right, basically the JQ command to be available, all right, within the image that we're using, all right, to build our application? So let's see what we can do in that instance. Now here in the before script, I need to write some stuff here, and I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to say apk add, all right, and then I'm just going to basically put no, all right, catch. All right, so no catch, and then I'll say JQ. So basically what I'm saying here is that I want to add into my Docker image, all right, I want to make available, okay, the JQ command inside of my Docker image. That's what I'm doing. Now, I can't, start to build my own Docker image and then use that from the scratch, no. But if you have any image that you're using and there are certain commands that are not available in that image, you can actually use the apk add, all right, to add whatever command that you want to make available inside of that image. All right, you can basically use apk add to add it, all right, into your image. Now, but I must say this here, the Docker image that I am using is actually based on the Linux Alpine, all right, version, basically. So what you need to do is that you need to find out whatever image you're using, you need to find out what version of Linux is that image based on. Okay, because I mean the APK add window is not going to work for every image, all right, that you have out there, but you need to know the version, all right, that your image is built on, basically the base image actually. So for example, now this is a base image node, all right, this is a base image that I'm using to build this file, but this node image itself is also built, all right, on another image. So that image is what I need to find out, all right, what it is. Is it Alpine? Is it Ubuntu? Or whatever version it is, and then that will tell me, all right, the kind of command that I'm going to have to use here. But because I know that my Docker image actually was built on the Alpine image, then the APK add is going to work, all right, for me. So the APK add is basically going to add the JQ, all right, into my image. Now, the no catch basically means that anytime I run this pipeline, then the JQ is going to be installed, all right, every time. So it's not going to install the JQ command permanently, all right, into the image, because I may need, all right, the image for something else that don't require the JQ, all right, so it's not going to be stored permanently. Okay, so to make sure that the JQ is actually available, so I can come here and say JQ, all right, version, All right, basically I want to test it if, all right, this version, if the JQ has been installed, all right, so I want to basically test, all right, that. Now, so we've made the JQ available, we've added it to the Docker image, so let's push again now, and let's see, all right, what happens, all right now. So here, I'm going to have to change this 1.0 again, so I'm going to change that to, all right, to version. Okay, but then let's see what happens if this is going to work. All right, because I mean I'm exporting something here in this job. Okay, so let's find out when you export something in a particular job, does it, is that export basically what you're exporting into the environment, is it going to be available for every other job, or is it just going to be within that job? Okay, so let's find out, all right, what will happen now that I'm using, all right, this particular thing here. So let's push again. All right, so let's push and let's see what we're likely to have. Okay, so JQ added to Docker image. Up. What am I doing? Any problem with that? Okay. What did I do wrong? Okay, let me clear my screen. All right. Okay. All right. So let's see. It's giving us an error. So let's do git status. Okay. Git commit -am. I think that was what I missed out, right? So JQ, all right, added to Docker image. Okay, so there you go. So the A is what I missed out, right? So I used only M instead of AM, right? So basically add and commit, okay? And then let's push to the pipeline, to the repo, all right? And let's see what happens right now. So click on the pipeline again, and then let's watch, all right, what happens. So this is pending. Of course, it's not stuck this time around. I mean, our instance is up and running. So the job is running, the test phase is running. So let's wait a bit for all of this to happen. And then let's see if the JQ thing will work now, all right, and all of that. So let's just hold on a bit and let's see what happens with that. So I'm going to come back when this is done. Look at that. The run test image passed. The build image also passed. So let's look at the build image and let's see, all right, what happened. Okay. So here, of course, we know already that we're using the Docker executor. All right. And then we added the JQ. So look at that. So apk add no JQ basically fetched, all right, from the Apple Linux. All right. And then added that, it added that to the image, and then it made the JQ available. So now when I did the JQ version, it basically showed me the version, all right, of the JQ. And with that, all right, you can see that my build image was, everything worked. The image was built successfully, all right, and all of that. Now look at the tag. So 1.0, which is the version of my that I have in the package of JSON, and then the pipeline ID, which is basically 27. I mean, we've run a couple of pipelines, right? So now the pipeline ID as of now, all right, is 27. So now I can say I have 1.0, all right, 0.27. So the version of my application and then the pipeline, all right, ID. Okay, so that makes sense, right? So now the push image, let's see why the push image actually failed. Okay, now it says here, it says invalid reference format. Now, one thing I will call our attention to is that anytime the exit code is 1, it means that the job actually, all right, failed. That is what it means basically. Okay, now here it says invalid reference format. All right, basically, what we did actually is that we basically put, all right, $version here. So I mean, it couldn't find anything version, right? You couldn't find it. Okay, so because the version that we are trying to use in the push job was actually used here, was exported here. So that tells you that all of these exports that we're doing here actually belong to the build job. So it is not actually available to any other job by default. Okay, so when you have any environmental variable that you're using within a job, it does not mean that that environmental variable is available to any other job within, all right, your pipeline. Okay, so you have to export it and then you have to save such, all right, environmental variable into what you call an artifact, and then you can use, all right, the artifact to basically, you can use the artifact, right, to basically make use of that variable, all right, in the other jobs. But by default, when you export something into the environment in a job, it doesn't mean that it is automatically available, all right, to the other jobs within your pipeline. And that is why if you look at what it says here, it says it failed, and then it says invalid reference format. So reference format basically means, it doesn't understand what the dollar version is, right? It's not exported in its own job, right? It's not available here for this particular push job, and so it couldn't recognize, all right, that particular command. So in the next video, we're going to deal with that, all right, and see how we can make our environmental variables, all right, available to other jobs. So if you export an environmental variable in one job, how do you make that available in the other job? So in the next video, we're going to see how, all right, to achieve that, okay, so that one environmental variable in one job becomes available, all right, for the other jobs as well. So thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.